Hello, happy Monday. And I just want to wish all of my Canadian friends and colleagues and fellow women authors happy Canadian Thanksgiving to all of you. I am so grateful to have so many Canadian friends as a result of online networking and live streams and online summit and events too. So happy Canadian Thanksgiving to all of you. And I'm so delighted to have a dear, dear friend of mine join me today, and her name is Irma Goosen, all the way from Alberta, Canada. And so happy Canadian Thanksgiving to her. She's taking some time out of her lovely holiday to spend it with us. So grateful for that. And Irma is a 4-time best-selling published author as well as professional editor. And she was one of our very first beta test readers. So yes, so she got one of the manuscripts ahead of time and helped us a little bit with the editing. And so we're so pleased to hear from her for today's very special edition of Meet the Cinderella Monologues book review. So before we introduce Irma onto the big screen, let's talk a little bit about one of the major themes of Cinderella, which is the fairy godmother. So if you're tuning in today, please say hello. Please let us know in the comments where you're watching us from, how you're celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving, if that's where you are today. And also, who are the fairy godparents in your life? Yes, when you think back to your life, perhaps in school or career, has there been one particular person, perhaps a mentor that stood out for you that acted like a fairy godmother or a fairy godfather? So please let us know that in the comments. We'd love to engage and hear from you as we dive into today's discussion and early book review. Lucky for you, you get to hear from Irma and her first impressions of the Cinderella monologue. So without further ado, let's please welcome Irma Goosen. Ta-da! Hello,
Hi.
Irma. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me here, Olivia. I feel very special to be able to be one of the first interviewees.
We are so lucky to have you. As a professional editor yourself, you're very instrumental in helping us with this book project and reading over some of the selective chapters, and then also just giving us, our very first book review. So this is going to be such an amazing treat for all of you to get kind of a sneak peek or an insider's glimpse of this very special Cinderella Monologues project that we've been diligently working on for the past 6 months or so.
That is so true. And here we have to give kudos to Mila Johansson because this is her brainchild. The Cinderella Monologues is about women who have come from severe circumstances and then they put on their slippers and they dance their way out of those terrible conditions into the fairy stories that they are living today. And Mila, you know that, Olivia, that she was instrumental in helping us put together our book that we had done, the Heart Notes anthology. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mila, so much for that. Mila was also our sponsor for our Sing Your Heart Song Summit series. And without her, many of the things that we had done would not have been possible because she was our fairy godmother.
Oh, Irma, that was so lovely. And even though you're not in this particular collection of stories, you have a very long history with this book project. Yes, share with everyone how far back we go.
You and I met a year ago now, and I think we've both grown. I've seen you take the bull by the proverbial horns and just ride the bull out into your future. And I think because you're such an inspiration to all of us, we managed to be able to have the Sing Your Heart Song Summits, and they were successful. We had international speakers, and then from the international speakers, we created the Heart Notes anthology, where each one of us wrote chapters. I know you wrote 3 chapters. I wrote 3 chapters. I also had the privilege of editing that book, and then Steph, he helped us to be able to put together the the pictures, the pretty stuff. And he managed to put it on the website. He made sure everyone's work got put together. He compiled that for us. And then Mila took our hands and she walked us through how do you actually put that book onto Amazon. And that was great because many have not known that's what you do. Step one, you do this. Step two, you do that. Step three, no, 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 don't do what you just tried to do. So that was really helpful from Mila. So once again, thank you, Mila. You made sure that we all put on our silvery slippers with lots of bling so that we could get that book into fruition as well.
I just love the continuity that we met through the Sing Your Heart Song Summit, and we're able to create these anthology books, and continue to learn by Mila. And you recognize a few of the authors in the Cinderella monologues, don't you?
Oh, yes, I have. I want to give a special heartfelt hug to our presenters and our audience members from the Sing Your Heart Song Summit because they are part of the Cinderella monologues. They are part of something so powerful that if ever you felt that you've been in a tough, tough situation, read these stories because you will be uplifted and you will be shown it is possible to persevere. It is possible to get through what you are going through currently and then move on to the next step. But I want to say thank you because I know them, I've met them, I've worked with them, I've talked to them. I am so impressed. Dr. Anne Schaefer. Dr. Anne, I am looking forward to reading your version of being Cinderella. Chris Dyer. Chris Dyer does embellishments, and it's called the Cinderella or the Butterfly Embellishments. And Chris helped us put together our diaries. Chris, thank you for that. Nadine Thompson, your heart, your absolute kindness, always, always, when you started talking, we felt as if we were in a warm embrace. So thank you so much for that. And I have to mention a very special person, Olivia. I hope it's okay if I did that. We had a recipient of a scholarship at the Sing Your Heart Song Summit, and it was awarded to Danny DePricio. Danny, congratulations. I had the privilege to review your chapter. Oh my goodness. She is taking the title Cinderella Sneakers. And you know what? When I saw that title, in my mind's eye, I saw bling and shiny bits of all kinds of rhinestones and just this power coming off these sneakers. So, Danny, thank you for that visual. I am really, really happy. Donna Maccabee, I met you as an audience member, and now I'm listening to your Monday Mojos with Olivia. Thank you. I am looking forward to reading your chapter. I am so excited. Whole book. I was only granted a sneak peek of some of the chapters, but I am looking forward to reading all of them. Well done. And I was uplifted and motivated once I read your stories. And I appreciate the privilege, Olivia, for me to do so.
And what stood out for you the most so far in this very special collection of stories?
What stood out the most for me was the fact that we as women, we tend to keep our sense of humor. To be able to laugh when you are at your lowest point. And we have grit and we have determination, we have gumption, that whatever is going on in our lives will not keep us down. And I saw that in the chapters. If I may mention just your story, Olivia, with your mom who fled from Vietnam. I was blown away by the courage of that lady for being able to persevere, to go to a new country and start a new life when you fled from everything you've known. As an immigrant myself, because I was born and raised in South Africa, I lived in the US for a number of years and then I came to Canada. I know the courage it takes. And when I left my country, I didn't flee the way your mom did. I didn't have to go through different countries to be able to make my way to the US. And it stood out for me. So thank you for sharing her story. I appreciate that. I want to mention Danny's story. Danny was talking about how she put herself in Cinderella's life. And she told us about how Cinderella was going through the motions and how Cinderella had gone through all this strife. And then in the end, she pulled up those big old pants and she said, "No more." Danny, well done. Well done. I don't want to tell everyone all the stories here because I want you to be able to read them from a fresh perspective. And you know what? I have to mention her name, Marilyn Atterbury. Marilyn is an octogenarian. She is wonderful. I had the privilege of reading her story. Oh my goodness. What a brave woman. She has taken, it's like the pioneers when they are in the wagons and it's as if she took the reins and she took those horses with the wagon behind her and she started a new life. I take my hat off to her for what she's gone through as well. Well done. Well done. I'm just very grateful that I had the opportunity to read these chapters, folks, because you are missing out if you don't read it. Olivia, at the bottom, you can see when this book is ready. You want to tell us more about when it's ready to be read?
Well, we are hoping to drum up some excitement by doing these author spotlights this entire week into the next and get ready for an amazing launch. We're going to be doing a very special live stream event on October 22nd, 2022. And so we chose that date for a reason because we have 22 authors and we wanted to celebrate them on October 22nd of the year 2022.
Yes,
So
and
there's
if you,
intention behind that.
I know, and if you're in numerology, go look up the number 2. It's got a special meaning. Olivia, the one thing I noticed was that there's a diverse range of voices in this book. And even though there are no men who participated because this book was for women only, it doesn't matter what gender you have a Cinderella story. And even if your story has not been part of this anthology, you still have a story to share with the world of starting out and what you've gone through. And as you know, I work with teens and I work with what happens when they've been bullied to how do you take them to leadership? And that is one of the most important things I can say is that each one of us, each one is a leader. It all comes down to choice. What do you choose? How do you want to change your life? If you don't make that choice, no one can do that for you. But that is what the Cinderella monologues are all. These 22 women each made a choice in their lives, not only to partake in this anthology, but to write the story that changed their lives. I think on a daily basis, everywhere we go, the lady in the grocery store, the teen who is giving you your blizzard from Dairy Queen, whoever you deal with, they have that story. And it's up to us to encourage them to share that story, because then not only will they be able to heal, but also they will inspire us to continue with our lives.
Well said, Irma. I'm glad you brought that up because you do a lot of work with youths and mentoring youths. And so I'm curious, like, when have you felt like you were a fairy godmother, to a young person?
I talk to them every time we have a leadership program. I must say, a few years ago now, we were doing a youth leadership program, and there was a young girl. She must have been probably 11ish or so, and she wouldn't talk. She would not talk at all. She couldn't say her name because we encouraged the students. This was for a younger group. I do work with the older, the teens as well, but this younger group, she would always have her finger in her mouth and she wouldn't say boo or ba. At the end of the series, that girl stood up after we asked all of them, what did you learn from this? What are you taking away? She stood up. She looked us in the eye and she said, I learned to be brave. All of us can learn to be brave. And something like that, I mean, it puts you to tears. But the other thing it does, it makes you understand that every little bit that we do to help someone else, whether it's youth, whether it's dealing with older people, whether it's dealing with abused women, whether it's just dealing with your kids, everything we do, if we only look closely, there are little miracles that happen every single day. And it's like, the Cinderella monologues, they use the butterfly. And it is like a butterfly that is getting rid of that cocoon and spreading its wings and waiting for it to dry and then to fly. It's around us. It's up to us to see that. Open your eyes, because there are miracles around you every single day.
Oh, I love all that you're saying, Irma. Miracles are happening every day, and it does come down to choice. And for many of our authors, this is their very first time, publishing, very first time even revealing their stories. Their family and friends may not even know these aspects of themselves. And so I just think it's a very courageous choice that they made in order to be able to share. Do you think this book would be appropriate for youths to read because of the diverse, women authors that we have here?
I think that the youth would have to have this read to them in a session. Some of them would want to read this. Some of them might feel this is too heavy for them, or it's written by a bunch of moms, I don't have to listen to that. But each single story, of what I've read and what has been written, those stories, they have message. Everyone has a message, and it will be directed to the individual who it connects with. We walk by a mural, for example, and angel wings, and you walk by, oh, that is cool. Ah, others will go, okay, the colors are fading. Someone else might go, I want to take a picture with these angel wings behind me. It's all about perception. It's how do we perceive everything that comes along in our lives. Working with youth, giving them a voice is in the programs we run is to give them the opportunity to take on leader roles, the opportunity to say, I will do that next time, or I'm going to try that next time. And that's the same with how we will look at these Cinderella stories. If you don't want to read it, if you cannot afford a book, well, borrow it from someone else and read the book. If you feel you just want to read certain stories because that's what connects with you, then that is what you should do. Don't force yourself to read the ones you don't feel drawn to. Read the ones that you feel that will have an impact in your life.
Irma, I know that you write books for youth specifically, but I do see an anthology of youth stories collections in your future.
Oh, yes, it's coming.
Tell us a little bit about the book that you're working on, because I want to celebrate you too, because you're in the company of women writers. So what is the book that you've got in the works?
I have a book with Claudia Volkman, and she's currently editing this book. And it was a lot of fun to write, and it's part of a series. It's the top 1% in the world is creating leaders by kidnapping babies. And they want to then train them and teach them. So at the end of the day, they take over every single strong country in the world. And this, of course, is then run by the top 1% of the richest people. So these kids, what they go through and how they persevere. And of course, they have extra. They called the extras in my book as well. And the extras don't want to harm others because they have been harmed so much. But they are determined to bring these people to justice. And so they go through all the adventures. And book 2 is coming. I am starting to write it soon. I'm currently writing a different book just to take a little bit of a break in between the stories. But I'm looking forward to Claudia because she has edited best-selling books before. She is wonderful. And I want to send her all my love because Claudia is in Fort Myers. And for those of you who don't know, Fort Myers was basically in the middle of a hurricane called Ian. And the town or the area was flattened. It is destroyed. And I'm grateful Claudia is okay. I'm grateful her family is okay. So thank you very much, Claudia, for letting us know you're okay, because they have been struggling with that power. But she's my hero because she's editing my book.
Wonderful, Irma. Thank you so much for sharing. So if I may, because in my book I reference this talisman that my mother gave me, this beautiful green jade necklace. But something you may not know is that I was a fairy godmother in a play.
Oh, that is amazing.
So this is me as fairy
Oh,
godmother
look at you. Oh my
on set.
goodness. Oh,
So
look at you.
in the process of writing, I had totally forgotten about this experience, right? And this was taken way back in maybe 2008 or so when I was in Vietnam on a Fulbright, and I had gotten introduced to a nonprofit theater group called the Saigon Players. On a whim, I decided to audition for whatever part, and I got cast as the fairy godmother. So there I am with my custom gown and my gold tinsel wig. I need to find this wig again, maybe on Amazon. But that's me on set, and
That
so
is
I was
amazing.
channeling fairy godmother this entire time.
My cousin was my first fairy godmother. And I'm so grateful to her. I was only little. She was 9 years older than me. And I love her to death. Amanda, she's still in South Africa. And I appreciate everything she's done for me. And my other fairy godmother was my dad's sister, Auntie Mari. She's always been there for me. And even though I'm in Canada and they are in South Africa, I still have contact with them because they are so special to me. So, who are your fairy godmothers, Olivia?
Well, one of you, definitely. I'm so grateful that you've come, into my life. So you're definitely one of my fairy godmothers, and I'm gonna say I have a fairy godfather. So this whole thing
Mhm.
came about also when I was, looking for inspiration to write my chapter. My fairy godfather came from Braden Daniels. So Braden Daniels is a um, magician leadership strategist. And so he teaches people how to unleash the magician within. And he taught me the spell, a magic spell called Wingardium Leviosa. It's a spell of
Ooh.
levitation, all about lifting others up and lightening the mood, which is me all the time, right? Um, so I have to say, because of that inspiration, working with Braden, and then thinking back on my experience in Vietnam, actually being a fairy godmother, like really came
Mhm.
into with writing this chapter, and then of course honoring my mom.
Yes.
And I didn't realize at the time until I was, sitting down, pen to paper, that all these experiences came flooding back, and I could find a way to intertwine them.
It's amazing the memories that come forth when we sit down to write about a snippet in our lives that were so impactful. And that being said, I mean, we can talk and talk and talk and tell so many different stories. But for those of you who don't know, I have to brag a little bit about this friend of mine. Olivia is the one you want in your corner to help you create not only powerful LinkedIn profiles, but social media. Anything you want, Olivia can help you with. And she did not ask me to say this. She did not know I was going to do this. But Olivia, you have been teaching me all kinds of little bits and here and that's there. And you know what? When you become part of Olivia's group, she doesn't nudge you gently. No, mm-mm, no. She hammer and hit you against the head and say, "Get cracking." And that is what you really need to get going.
Oh my gosh, Irma, thank you so much. I think that's why I love book compilation projects so much, right? Because I can be sort of that driving force for everyone because it does take it's a lot of moving parts that have to come together in order to get the books
Mhm.
produced out in time. So thank you. Thank you, Irma, for that. And she's referring to her new LinkedIn series called inspo by Irma. So
Yeah.
please follow Irma on LinkedIn because she's masterful with her doodly creations. She's a very well-known MC, mistress of ceremonies for Toastmasters organizations, organizes tons of events for them. And so she always is willing to share her tips. So follow hashtag inspo by Irma. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much, Irma, for spending your holiday with us. So grateful to you. Thank you to all of you for commenting on this and watching. And please continue the conversation. Let us know how excited you are for the release of the Cinderella Monologues. And join us and talk to us about who your fairy godparents are. It could be anyone. So please let us know. Tag them in the comments. Give them a big shout out. It is time for this Cinderella to go off to the ball. So I put my crown on. So I'm going to dash off to my ball. So once again, the book will come out on October 22nd, 2022. It's there on the screen. And I will see you all tomorrow for a brand new author spotlight. So stay tuned, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, everyone.